What if I told you that the person who loves money will never be satisfied with money? What if the pursuit of wealth actually makes you poorer in the ways that matter most? And what if the richest man who ever lived discovered that money is both a terrible master and a wonderful servant? King Solomon had more wealth than we can imagine, yet he understood something about money that most people never learn: the difference between having money and money having you.
Welcome back to What Really Matters, our journey through King Solomon's wisdom in Ecclesiastes. I'm Emmanuel, and we're now 5 episodes in to discovering what actually creates a fulfilling life. We've learned that chasing success leaves you empty. Pleasure can't provide lasting satisfaction. Life has natural seasons we must flow with, and genuine relationships are essential for human flourishing. Today, we're diving into one of the most powerful and dangerous forces in human life: money. Ecclesiastes chapter 5 contains some of the most profound insights about wealth ever written. Solomon doesn't just give us platitudes about money being evil or good. He gives us a psychological analysis of how money affects the human soul, based on his own experience of having unlimited wealth. This isn't theoretical for Solomon. He was arguably the richest person in human history, with an annual income equivalent to billions in today's money. When he talks about money, he knows what he's talking about. If you've ever wondered why rich people often seem miserable, why lottery winners go broke, or how to have a healthy relationship with money, make sure you're subscribed and hit that notification bell, because this episode is going to change how you think about wealth forever.
The worship warning. Solomon begins chapter 5 with an unexpected topic: worship. Keep your foot when you go to the house of God, and draw near to hear rather than to give the sacrifice of fools, for they do not know that they do evil. This seems unrelated to money, but Solomon is setting up a crucial principle: be careful what you worship. The sacrifice of fools is going through religious motions without genuine heart engagement, essentially treating God like a vending machine. This applies directly to how we think about money. Many people worship money without realizing it. They sacrifice their time, relationships, health, and values on the altar of wealth accumulation. The vow problem. Solomon continues, "When you make a vow to God, do not delay to pay it, for he has no pleasure in fools. Pay what you have vowed. Better not to vow than to vow and not pay." In Solomon's time, people would make financial vows to God during difficult times, promising to give certain amounts if God blessed them. But when the blessing came, they would often rationalize breaking their promises. This reveals something crucial about human psychology and money. Wealth has a way of changing our values and commitments. The person who promises to be generous when they're poor often becomes stingy when they're rich. The modern vow breaking. We see this constantly today. People promise themselves they'll be generous when they make more money, but then lifestyle inflation consumes every raise. They promise to donate to charity once they're financially secure, but financial security keeps moving farther away. Successful people often promise their families they'll spend more time together once they reach a certain financial goal, but the goalposts keep moving and the family gets the leftovers. The psychological trap is that money seems to provide security and freedom, but it often creates anxiety and bondage instead. The satisfaction paradox. Then Solomon drops one of the most important insights about money ever written. He who loves silver will not be satisfied with silver, nor he who loves abundance with increase. This also is vanity. This is the fundamental law of money psychology. If you love money, you will never have enough money. The person who needs money to feel secure will never feel secure, because there's always someone richer, always another expense, always another financial goal. This isn't about having money, it's about loving money. There's a crucial difference between using money as a tool and worshiping money as a god.
The lottery winner studies modern research has confirmed Solomon's insight in dramatic ways. Studies of lottery winners show that while they experience an initial boost in happiness, within 18 months, most return to their previous levels of life satisfaction. Even more striking, many lottery winners report being less satisfied with ordinary pleasures after their windfall. Why? Because their baseline for excitement has been raised, making normal experiences feel disappointing. The famous case of Jack Whittaker, who won $314 million in 2002, illustrates this perfectly. Before winning, he was a successful businessman with a stable family life. After winning, he faced addiction, family breakdown, multiple lawsuits, and eventually said the lottery was the worst thing that ever happened to him. The hedonic treadmill returns. This connects to what we learned in episode 2 about the hedonic treadmill. Just as pleasure adapts, wealth adapts. The lifestyle that once seemed luxurious becomes normal, and you need ever-increasing amounts of money to feel the same satisfaction. Psychology research shows that once basic needs are met, additional income has diminishing returns on happiness. Making $200,000 doesn't make you twice as happy as making $100,000. But more importantly, people who are primarily motivated by money report lower levels of life satisfaction than those motivated by relationships, personal growth, or contributing to others.
The consumption trap. Solomon continues, "When goods increase, they increase who eat them. So what profit have the owners except to see them with their eyes?" This is a brilliant observation about lifestyle inflation. As your wealth increases, so do your expenses. You buy a bigger house, which requires more furniture, more maintenance, higher insurance, higher property taxes. You buy a luxury car, which requires premium gas, expensive repairs, higher insurance. Each increase in lifestyle creates new dependencies and obligations. Solomon realized that often the only advantage of wealth is the psychological satisfaction of seeing it with your eyes. Essentially, the ego boost of ownership. The Jeff Bezos paradox. Consider Jeff Bezos, who was worth over $200 billion at his peak. But what does that wealth actually mean in terms of life experience? He can't eat $200 billion worth of food, live in $200 billion worth of houses simultaneously, or experience $200 billion worth of pleasure. The vast majority of his wealth exists only on paper. Numbers in financial accounts that represent ownership of assets he'll never personally use. He gets the psychological satisfaction of being the richest man in the world. But the practical difference between $200 billion and $2 billion in terms of actual life experience is minimal. Yet the pursuit and management of that wealth consumed decades of his life, and according to public reports, contributed to the breakdown of his 25-year marriage.
The rich man's insomnia. Then Solomon makes this profound observation. The sleep of a laboring man is sweet, whether he eats little or much, but the abundance of the rich will not permit him to sleep. This is psychological insight that modern research has confirmed. Wealthy people often struggle with sleep because anxiety about losing what they have. The more you have, the more you have to lose. Complex financial decisions. Wealth requires constant management and decision-making. Social isolation. Success can create barriers to genuine relationships. Purpose questions. Once survival needs are met, existential questions become more pressing. The Elon Musk example. Elon Musk, despite being one of the richest people in the world, is famous for his poor sleep habits and high stress levels. In interviews, he's described sleeping on the factory floor, working 120-hour weeks, and struggling with the pressure of managing multiple billion-dollar companies. His wealth has given him the power to pursue ambitious projects, but it has also created enormous responsibilities and pressures that affect his health and personal life. The abundance of the rich literally doesn't permit him to sleep.
The naked truth. Solomon then shares one of the most sobering truths about money. As he came from his mother's womb, naked shall he return, to go as he came. And he shall take nothing from his labor, which he may carry away in his hand. This isn't just about death, though that's part of it. Solomon is pointing out that all accumulation is temporary. You can't take your wealth with you, and even while you're alive, market crashes, economic changes, and life circumstances can strip away financial wealth quickly. The 2008 financial crisis illustrated this perfectly. People who thought they were financially secure saw their net worth cut in half overnight. Retirement plans evaporated. Real estate investments collapsed. The wealth they had worked decades to accumulate disappeared faster than they could comprehend. The Steve Jobs realization. Steve Jobs, in his famous Stanford commencement speech, reflected on this truth after his cancer diagnosis. Death is very likely the single best invention of life. It clears out the old to make way for the new. Your time is limited, so don't waste it living someone else's life. Jobs realized that his wealth and success, while significant, were ultimately temporary. What mattered was the impact he made and the relationships he built, not the money in his bank account.
The sickness of hoarding. Solomon describes what he calls a severe evil. There is a severe evil which I have seen under the sun. Riches kept for their owner to his hurt. This is the psychology of hoarding wealth. Instead of money serving the person serves the money. They become so focused on accumulating and protecting wealth that it actually harms their quality of life. Modern examples of this include billionaires who continue working 80-hour weeks despite having more money than they could spend in a lifetime. People who won't spend money on experiences or relationships because they're obsessed with their net worth. Individuals who sacrifice their health, family, and happiness to increase their wealth. The generational wealth trap. Solomon continues, "But those riches perish through misfortune. When he begets a son, there is nothing in his hand." Research on generational wealth shows that 70% of wealthy families lose their wealth by the second generation, and 90% have depleted it by the third generation. Why? Because wealth without wisdom is unsustainable. Parents who focus primarily on accumulating money often fail to teach their children the values, work ethic, and financial wisdom necessary to maintain wealth. The children grow up with a different relationship to money. They see it as an entitlement rather than a tool, as security rather than responsibility. The gift perspective. But then Solomon offers a different perspective. "Here is what I have seen. It is good and fitting for one to eat and drink, and to enjoy the good of all his labor in which he toils under the sun all the days of his life which God gives him, for it is his heritage." This is crucial. Solomon isn't saying money is evil or that poverty is virtuous. He's saying that money is a gift to be enjoyed, not a god to be worshipped. The key phrase is, which God gives him. When you see money as a gift, rather than something you've earned entirely through your own effort, it changes your relationship to it. You hold it more lightly. You're more generous with it. You're less anxious about losing it. The enjoyment factor. Solomon continues, "And also that every man should eat and drink and enjoy the good of all his labor. It is the gift of God." Notice that Solomon advocates for enjoying money, not just accumulating it. Many people are so focused on building wealth that they never actually enjoy the fruits of their labor. They live like poor people while accumulating money like rich people, always deferring enjoyment until some future date when they'll have enough. But as Solomon already established, if you love money, you'll never have enough.
The Warren Buffett model. Warren Buffett exemplifies a healthier relationship with money. Despite being one of the richest people in history, he lives in the same modest house he bought in 1958, drives practical cars rather than luxury vehicles, focuses on creating value rather than displaying wealth, has pledged to give away 99% of his wealth, enjoy simple pleasures like hamburgers and Coca-Cola. Buffett has money, but money doesn't have him. He uses wealth as a tool for creating more value and helping others, rather than as a source of identity or security. The Bill Gates transformation. Bill Gates provides another example of healthy wealth perspective. After becoming the richest person in the world, Gates shifted his focus from accumulating wealth to giving it away strategically through the Gates Foundation. He realized that beyond a certain point, additional wealth doesn't improve quality of life, but strategically deployed wealth can solve global problems and help millions of people. Gates now spends his time on malaria prevention, education reform, and climate change, rather than on building Microsoft. He found more satisfaction in using his wealth purposefully than in simply accumulating more.
The Oprah philosophy. Oprah Winfrey has articulated a philosophy that aligns with Solomon's wisdom. Be thankful for what you have. You'll end up having more. If you concentrate on what you don't have, you will never, ever have enough. Oprah uses her wealth to create opportunities for others, to tell important stories, and to live experiences that bring her joy. But she's also famous for practicing gratitude for simple pleasures: a good book, a beautiful sunset, meaningful conversation. She demonstrates that wealth can enhance life when it's held with the right perspective and used for purposes beyond just accumulation. The anxiety of wealth. Modern psychology research confirms Solomon's insights about wealth and anxiety. Studies show that people in the top income brackets report higher levels of anxiety than middle-income earners. Wealthy individuals often struggle with imposter syndrome and fear of losing their wealth. The responsibility of managing significant wealth can create decision fatigue and stress. Wealthy people report feeling isolated and unsure about others' motivations in relationships. The very thing that's supposed to provide security, money, often creates new forms of insecurity. The comparison trap. Social media has made Solomon's insights about money even more relevant. Platforms like Instagram and LinkedIn create constant opportunities for financial comparison. We see curated versions of other people's wealth, their homes, cars, vacations, lifestyle purchases, and feel inadequate by comparison. This drives spending on things we don't need to impress people we don't like, creating debt and financial stress in pursuit of an image. Research shows that people who spend more time on social media report higher levels of financial anxiety and are more likely to make impulsive purchases.
Developing a healthy money relationship. So how do you apply Solomon's wisdom to develop a healthy relationship with money? Let me give you a practical framework. Step 1. The Money Motivation Audit. Examine why you want money. Write down your financial goals and ask yourself, am I pursuing money for security, status, freedom, or generosity? What do I think money will give me that I don't currently have? How much of my self-worth is tied to my net worth? What would I do with my time if money weren't a concern? This helps you understand whether you're using money as a tool or worshiping it as a god. Step 2. Define enough. Solomon's insight that lovers of money are never satisfied means you must consciously define enough. Calculate. How much money do you need for basic security? What lifestyle do you actually want, not what others expect? How much is reasonable to save for emergencies and retirement? What would you do with money beyond these amounts? Without a definition of enough, you'll be trapped on the hedonic treadmill forever. Step 3. Practice gratitude for what you have. Develop daily gratitude practices around money. Thank God, the universe, for your current financial situation. Notice and appreciate things you own that you once wanted. Focus on how money serves you rather than how much you lack. Celebrate financial milestones rather than immediately setting new goals. This combats the never enough mentality that Solomon warned about. Step 4. Use money for experiences and relationships. Research shows that money spent on experiences and relationships provides more lasting satisfaction than money spent on possessions. Align your spending with Solomon's insight about enjoying the good of all your labor. Prioritize shared experiences over individual purchases. Invest in relationships through generosity and shared activities. Buy time through outsourcing rather than just things. Focus on purchases that enhance relationships rather than just personal pleasure. Step 5. Practice strategic generosity. Generosity is one of the best ways to maintain a healthy relationship with money because it reminds you that money is a tool, not a master. Give away a percentage of your income regularly. Be generous with friends and family in thoughtful ways. Use money to solve problems for others. Support causes that align with your values. This prevents the hoarding mentality that Solomon identified as harmful.
The sleep test. Here's a simple diagnostic for your relationship with money. Does thinking about money help you sleep or keep you awake? If financial thoughts bring peace and gratitude, you probably have a healthy relationship with money. If they bring anxiety, comparison, or obsession, you may be loving money rather than using it. The legacy question. Ask yourself, if I died today, what would people remember about my relationship with money? Would they remember my generosity or my stinginess? Would they remember how I used money to bless others or how I hoarded it? Would they remember my anxiety about money or my contentment with what I had? Would they remember how money served my values or how I compromised my values for money? This helps you evaluate whether your money habits align with your deeper values. The freedom metric. True wealth isn't about having a lot of money. It's about money not having you. Ask yourself, can I enjoy simple pleasures without expensive enhancements? Am I willing to lose money to maintain my integrity? Do I make decisions based on what's right or what's profitable? Can I be generous without calculating what I'll get in return? These questions reveal whether you have financial freedom or financial bondage. The money truth. Solomon's message about money is both sobering and liberating. Money can't provide the security, satisfaction, or significance we think it will. But when we hold it with the right perspective, as a gift to be enjoyed and a tool to be used, it can enhance life without dominating it. The richest man in history discovered that loving money guarantees you'll never have enough, but enjoying money as a gift allows you to have a healthy relationship with whatever amount you have.
The sleep insight. Remember Solomon's insight about sleep? Anxiety about money will rob you of peace, but gratitude for money as a gift will give you rest. The goal isn't to have more money, it's to have money without money having you. This brings us perfectly to our next episode, The Appetite That's Never Full, where we dive into Ecclesiastes chapter 6 and Solomon's discoveries about desire, satisfaction, and why human appetite is inherently insatiable. We'll explore why getting what you want often doesn't make you happy, how social media feeds our insatiable appetite for more, and what Solomon learned about the difference between desire and fulfillment. We'll also look at the psychology of hedonic adaptation, why celebrities often struggle with depression despite having everything, and how to find contentment in a culture that profits from your dissatisfaction. Your money assignment. Before our next episode, I want you to conduct your own money motivation audit. Be honest about why you want money and what you think it will give you. Then practice one act of strategic generosity this week, not because you have to, but as an experiment in holding money lightly. Notice how it affects your relationship with your finances.
The wealth wisdom. Remember, Solomon's message isn't that money is evil or that poverty is virtuous. His message is that money is a terrible master, but a wonderful servant. The key is keeping it in its proper place. If this episode changed how you think about money, smash that like button and share it with someone who needs to hear this message. Let me know in the comments, what's one way you can use money as a tool rather than worshiping it as a god? I'm Emmanuel, and I'll see you in our next episode, where Solomon teaches us why human appetite is designed to be unsatisfiable and what to do about it. Remember, the goal isn't to have more money, it's to have money without money having you.